This interview's going south. So we're never going to speak. We're never going to speak when this is done.
Congratulations on the show, guys.
Thank you.
It is so good. I feel like there's not really anything like this on Australian TV yet. What was it that kind of really drew you to this? Or how would you describe it, actually, to someone who hasn't seen it?
Yeah, I think it was the fact that it did feel really different for Aussie television. Yeah. I think there's some amazing television and film out there that is, made by us, for us. But this was the first time that I was really reading something where I was like, wow, this is not a slow burn. It's anything but that. It feels very propulsive and really engaging, and once you're on the ride, it's kind of like you're speeding all the way to the end. Doesn't really give you much time to breathe, and I really enjoyed it.
And complex characters, which I think is instrumental to good drama. It wasn't like anything I had read either, and just the opportunity to kind of like jump into something that's genre, that's really well executed and feels grounded, but also, like Aisha said, very propulsive. It was super exciting.
Complex characters with a lot of red flags, maybe?
Maybe one or two. Yeah. What are you trying to say, Money?
Oh, no, nothing. They're great people. What was it that drew you to those characters?
For me, just I just knew it was going to be an insane challenge to try to. In a way, it's kind of like a bit of a magic trick playing Dan, because he's got to be two different characters at once, kind of, and you have to kind of understand both of those characters. So that was a real, complex thing for me, and a huge draw.
Oh, you were looking at me like now it's time for me to answer the question.
Now it's your turn.
What drew me to Lena? I felt like she was making some really interesting choices, but choices that I could actually relate to, and I'm not sure what that says about me, but I understood why she was kind of doing the things she was doing, and I felt kind of protective of her, like almost I was maybe the only one who could understand. She felt like a friend to me, and I think that's a feeling that I've had a few times over the years, and I always know that that's kind of a sign for me that this is a job that I feel really passionate about. I don't know. I felt almost defensive of her, and I wanted to make sure that her story was told right.
Yeah, I think it's kind of described as an erotic thriller. There are a lot of sexy scenes. How do you kind of bond before you are thrown into that kind of environment on set? I
mean, luckily we had a lot of rehearsal time.
Yeah.
We came in like 4 or 5 weeks before we started filming, which is really unheard of for TV. It's like 4 or 5 times what you usually get. So we had a lot of time to kind of get to know each other, get comfortable with each other personally as people, to kind of discuss what our boundaries are and what we were comfortable with. But beyond that, also kind of going deeper into the script to try to tell a story with these sex scenes, because, sex scenes, as in real life, it's a conversation. We're all kind of looking to get something from the other person, and you either get it or you don't. I think it was actually a really fun experience, kind of getting into the reasons why these people were thrust into each other's lives.
And I'm here too. No, I agree with everything. No, it's just it's so important to get on the same page with someone and to feel that you trust them. I haven't done a lot of sex scenes in things, and I was very nervous about it, but I was so supported and by Aisha, by everyone. The great thing about the first scene between Lena and Dan too is that that really is such a story scene, and I don't know that we couldn't have done something, I think, nearly that interesting had we not had the time to figure that out, to get to know each other and become comfortable. But then also, there's always a period when you're starting on something where you're trying to figure out what the character is too. It's one thing on paper, and then it has to go through this kind of strange alchemy where you're trying to figure it out and get it into your body. And so having the time to be able to figure that out and play around with it was so vital. And hopefully it shows.
The show kind of has a lot of basis in secrets and lies. Do you think there's ever an okay scenario to lie to your partner?
it's entirely dependent on the lie, you know?
That's an interesting answer.
No, but like,
Wow.
no, because I'm thinking, what, you're planning a surprise party? You're gonna be like, if your partner, he or she is gonna be like, oh, where you taking me?
Yeah.
Like, yes. But like, I'm not saying you should have another family in a different state and not share that
Okay,
information.
don't have another family in a
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
state. Got
Yeah,
it?
I've told you this so many times.
And I keep forgetting, but it's good that you remind me.
Yeah, I know. That's,
I think it's sometimes like I can understand. I personally am not capable of doing this, and it's probably why I sometimes struggle in my relationships. But I think it's probably good sometimes to lie about like, is the pasta I made you good? Do you like it? It's good to be like, yeah, it's great, even if you didn't like it. By the way, you're a great cook. Every meal you've ever cooked for me has been
all right.
fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure.
This interview's going south. We're never gonna speak. We're never gonna speak when this is done.
Done quite a string of Aussie projects now, Aisha. Do you feel more comfortable now using your Aussie accent?
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. I know that my accent at this point is like such a mishmash of like all of the different places and people in my life.
Not in the show though.
Not in the show, you think?
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's great.
you should do your Aussie accent for the interviews.
It's really taken a turn. We've only been here for a few hours
Yeah.
doing this, and it's crazy. We were friends. Not anymore. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I do. I think I love working in Australia. I really do. I think that the stories we're telling here are really cool and different, and I love being a part of this new kind of wave of Australian storytelling that just, I don't know, it feels really exciting. It feels like being a part of something that's like a very important part of our evolution as we kind of tell stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh, do you think it kind of feels like you're more acting when you're using an accent, or?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the accent. I actually had to teach myself to act in my Australian accent because I would instinctively do an American accent, even from when I was young. And that's just from watching too many movies and coming to school and being like, did you see that thing last night? And then like doing it for my friends. So yes, and then I did a movie where I was playing a Brit, and that was the hardest thing I ever had to do. I felt like I was so terrible at it.
I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this, but Aisha, you recently opened up about your experience with endometriosis. Why was that so important for you to share?
I almost didn't, but I realized that I was just, it's my new soapbox, and I was talking about it constantly in my life, and I had this moment sitting on my couch by myself at home where I realized that maybe this would be a really good opportunity to perhaps open up the conversation for other people. Actually, do you know what the impetus was? A friend of mine also had a similar surgery right after me, and she was saying how embarrassed she felt of her scars and how she felt like they were ugly. And I was like, oh, I feel like a bionic woman. Like I'm walking around with these like in my stomach, and I was like, I think I want to share it. And I've also made the choice that, you know, I haven't really been working since my surgery. I've just been focusing on my health this year, but when I do, I'm going to make a point of trying to show my scars as much as I can because I think they're really beautiful. So really the motivation was just that I wanted people to feel a little bit less alone.
I love that.